Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello one, hello all to another episode of Trash Talk. I'm TJ O'Connor, and with me as always, Damian the Wolverine Hill. Trash Talk is brought to you by the sponsors of the show. Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Drinks Tattoo, Origin Wellness CBD, the Striking Institute, Spartan Martial Arts, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, The Fighters, my mom. Damian Hill, how you doing tonight, sir?
A whole lot better than you. And a whole lot better than the new guy also. There's, I guess it falls right along, right along to the topic of gym etiquette. And this was one of the things that it was a fan question a while back. We had, you guys can go find that video if you guys feel like it after this one, of course.
Yeah.
But we were talking about being the new guy and when you show up to basically leave your ego at the door and try not to disrespect anybody. Fighting's intimate, and all fighters are sensitive, and it's easy to insult a coach, like a head trainer. I mean, especially if you're just some guy. You know what I mean? You remember that conversation, right?
Oh, I remember that conversation loud and clear. And I think it's one of the things that, after doing this show for so long, we might take it for granted that we assume that everybody that watches our show fights or has trained previously. And sometimes even the simplest of gym etiquettes go over the head of people that have never trained before. So we've all been stuck at the house the last couple months. Nothing's open, no gyms, no movie theaters, no restaurants. So some people get the fine idea, you know what? I saw UFC was on last month. They're back. I'm about to go be a fucking cage fighter. So they go to the gym for the first time fresh off of quarantine, and we end up with situations like this.
Dude, that's exactly what the fuck happened. I don't know his mindset behind coming to the gym, but there's been a lot of new faces at the gym since the quarantine ended. Everybody's talking about their quarantine weight and trying to get it down. It's like the second winter, like everybody gained their winter weight back. It was kind of funny, but like there are some people that are trying to take it serious and trying to get fit, and then they think that MMA is the way to go about it, or they've always been interested. And I can already see that there's some that are interested, and I can see that they're probably, if they don't end up fighting, they're going to end up sticking with jiu-jitsu and the boxing classes. They're getting a kick out of it. But there's other people who are they've been at home this whole time, and they have all this time to think and just pent up, like not necessarily rage, but testosterone is what I just want to call it. Their ego's there, and they want to come to the gym to beat up on some people. And that's exactly what this dude tried to do. It was pretty fucking funny. Like he had a conversation with Jim, the owner, our head coach, who's a brown belt and also a Navy SEAL. Jim was asking him about his MMA background and stuff like that. He says all he has is his Army combatives because he's in the National Guard, and he has he's been to a bunch of gyms, and he's trained off and on, and he trains with a few of his buddies that all supposedly know jiu-jitsu. And and Jim was saying, oh, the Army combatives is a joke, kind of, it's not really practical or whatever, right? And Jim's just saying this like kind of as a joke, because he's always made fun of the Army combatives program, of just like the whole defense system for the Army too, and for the military. I wasn't in the military. I don't know. That's just that's just Jim's take on it, who's a Navy SEAL, mind you, so maybe his standards are a little bit higher. I don't know. But anyway, he wanted to defend that and say like, oh no, these things work. I've used it against people or whatever. It's like, well, do they know wrestling or jiu-jitsu? And a demonstration tried to happen, and Jim ended up submitting the guy. I can't remember what it was because I wasn't. I found out the story kind of afterwards,
Yeah.
you know. But like all I had seen is that Jim had submitted the guy. They rolled again. Jim submitted him again, but they're like starting off in the same position, and Jim's doing like different moves every single time. And I'm like, oh, Jim's just kind of showing himself. You know, I didn't realize like he had challenged Jim, and Jim's just like, oh no, that wouldn't work, and here's 37 reasons why it wouldn't work, and I didn't know that was the discussion that was going on. So, but and then I didn't have any discussions with them prior to all of this, but I had got into the ring and I had started rolling with can't remember who it was. Whatever, another gym mate. Sorry, don't not remember your name. You guys all look the same to me. But anyway, like so I had already rolled and I was actually sparring with Noah too, just working on technique, not really sparring hard. You know how we technique sparring and drilling and just doing that for a few rounds, and a conversation started between me and Jim, and I was still in the ring, and then he jumps in, and he has like this kind of smirk on his face. He's like, we're the only ones in the ring. You want to roll? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Fuck it. So he tries to take me down. I'm like, he has some grappling experience. This is just my first read when he with the shot that he had took. But I'm like, he didn't wrestle. This wasn't a wrestling shot, but it was a nice attempt at a shot that a wrestler would do, but with the style of somebody who maybe rolls jiu-jitsu, So I stuffed it, and I ended up getting the takedown. It was a little bit like I was just kind of feeling him out, seeing what he knew, and it's just like, oh, he knows some basics. Like, this dude's probably a white belt, So, and I had already had that read, so I'm just kind of, all right, I'm just going to roll with him at his pace. And I ended up, he started trying to go pretty hard, like really intense, and I'm just like, all right, dude, like you don't got to show off to anybody. So I just quickly armbarred him. I rolled him over. I took mount, and then I armbarred him from mount. So then after that, he's like, oh wow, like yeah, no one really ever gets me with that. Like, getting to mount isn't really isn't one of those things that's like that easy to do. Like we kind of were in a little bit of a scramble. I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, I had your back. I rolled you over and took mount. Like I did that. I didn't. I don't know what scramble you didn't do. Like I don't know. So anyway, that's what was going through my mind, and so after that or whatever, he starts kind of questioning everything or whatever, and I'm trying to like give him a little bit of pointers and tell him like how I did certain things, and then he's telling me that it wouldn't work. And I'm like, dude, it just did. What the fuck do you mean it wouldn't work? And then he's like telling me, he's like, well, I could just post here, or I could just stand up at that point. I could just do this. It's like, why didn't you? I'm like, he's like, you didn't try that then? It's like, or now all of a sudden that I'm breaking down the move, you pointing out like an escape or reversal or something now. Yes, I know that those things are there, but like you got to learn the move first and then understand that, hey, there's a counter to this move too. And if you were sloppy with it or you don't set it up right, they could stop it this easy or whatever. Or and I'm like, but all of those things come in steps. It's like you want the whole puzzle to be completed, but you're not even like trying to sort out the pieces and shit, and it was just really insulting. So we rolled again, and he's telling me a move that wouldn't work. So I'm demonstrating on him like it's that TP body lock or whatever, right? And it's not really I keep trying to tell people it's not a move that's necessarily going to get you to submit. It's like if you got somebody gassed and they're really tired, they'll probably tap because it makes it so hard to breathe. And if you could catch a floater rib and potentially break it, I've seen somebody do that, and I've also, I guess it was some dislodged cartilage that I caused, but it's not a practical jiu-jitsu move. but it's something that it's like if you're stalling or if you like you can stall and make it hard for them to breathe there. And he's trying to tell me that it wouldn't work, and I'm like, all right, fine. So I set it up on him, like without really telling him, and then he's like, oh, I'm in it, and like he's realizing how hard it is to breathe. So he goes to try to pick me up as if he's gonna slam me. Like, so mind you, like I have guard and he picks me up. So I'm it.
Sorry to interrupt. You cut out right when you said he's gonna go try, and then it cut out.
He's gonna try to slam me. Yeah, dude. Like, so he picks me up or whatever, right? And you know how like a person, fighters that don't know, like my legs, or not fighters, but people that are watching that don't know, fighters, you hopefully you know. But anyway, like my legs are wrapped around his waist. So when he sits up, and my legs are tight wrapped around, if he sits up and I follow with him, I sit up with him. So he's carrying me. So it's like you're carrying your baby or whatever, right? With their arms around you or whatever, and you have them, you know? So he's holding me like that, and he could easily slam me down. But when he went up and he's about to go for something, like he's really going to go for the slam. So at that point, I go for an underhook on his side, and I brace with my hand, and I slide out, and I end up taking his back, and I just choke him out quick. I'm like, you going to fucking try to choke me, dude? And then he was like, oh, yeah, like, yeah, when you were going for that body lock, it really hurt. It was really hard to breathe, but I don't know if I tapped you it, you know, especially like when a slam is there. And I'm like, yeah, go for the slam, because it opened up another submission for me. I ended up taking your back and submitting you when you thought you were gonna slam me. It was like, well, yeah, but I wasn't really gonna like try to slam you. I'm like, dude, you just told me that you were gonna slam me. And you tried to fucking slam me. The fuck, dude? So, and that's not the end of it. So at this point, I was already mad, and you know, I had got off the mat. I'm talking with Jim, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm just about to go. You know, I'll see you guys later. I go in the locker room. I start to change, and at that point, I guess he had called out Josh Clark. Dude. I guess Josh ended up bouncing his head off of the mat or off of the mats or whatever with just picking him up and just like kind of like hitting his head or whatever, right? And just forearming him and everything. And this is all because, I mean, Jim had told Josh not to throw anything back or whatever, right? But this dude, he threw an elbow at. He started throwing elbows at Josh when they were rolling out of nowhere, because Josh was just getting that much of the upper hand. This dude's 190 pounds. Josh, it was 130, 132 pounds maybe, you know, and this dude, he's getting his ass whipped by Josh, and he can't fucking handle it. So he starts trying to throw those as if that was going to save him. And then, like, I guess the first one, it was fine. Jim was telling Josh not to retaliate or whatever, right? But Josh was giving him some forearm punches or whatever, right, and pushing his head really hard against the mat and everything, not going for any submissions, just for any submissions, just punishing him. And then I guess there was another elbow or something thrown, and that's when I guess Josh had it. I don't know exactly what happened because I wasn't there, but it was pretty much a 3-piece in a soda, and Josh got walked off the mat. And I'm not saying like he threw punches or anything like that, but it was something where like you just put a guy in their place. And after talking with Jim and what this guy's attitude was, he was coming to the gym thinking that he was just going to beat up on everybody. Like, he didn't come to the gym to learn anything. He came to the gym to try to beat up on us, and it backfired. And it's like, that's not why you show up to a gym. And if you show up with that ego, it's like, dude, like, I'm mad that I didn't beat his ass. Like, if I knew all of this, like, in advance or whatever, I wouldn't have went for the chokes or whatever. I would have went for some fucking cranks. I would have went for some wrist locks, some ankle locks, some spinal manipulations. I would have done some shit that hurts, not just trying to submit you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Like,
no, this guy sounds like a tool bag. Clearly, I've gotten this whole story from third-party perspectives, but I've been lucky enough to hear from, everybody that you mentioned, and the general consensus is that this guy is a tool bag. And you talk about leaving your ego at the door. This is the opposite. This guy tried to put his ego in his trunks and then his mouth guard. He tried to bring it with him onto the mat, and it makes no sense. I mean, especially when you what you say is even as you're telling us all how much of a douchebag he is, the guy there might be potential there. I mean, you talk about, he kind of had an idea what's going on. He was willing to do this. But when you come in with that attitude, no matter what your ability is, you're never going to accomplish anything. If you're correcting people your first day, you're correcting the coach on how to do techniques, bruh. This isn't a fucking YouTube video. This is real life.
Everything that was shown or that we got him with or whatever that we tried to tell him, yeah, this would defend that or whatever, right? He's like, I don't know if that would work, or if this was dude, we just did it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's like, well, you guys only got it because of such and such reason. I'm like, yes, because we made you do that. We made you put your arm there. He just wouldn't get it. He's like, he's uncoachable, So it's just like, dude, get the fuck out of here. I don't even want to waste my time with you or whatever, right? But he shows back up today. He showed back up, dude. I was surprised as fuck.
Promising sign.
Man. So, but today he had a little bit of a better attitude.
Yes.
Way better attitude, but still a little bit condescending and arrogant smugness to him. He still thinks he's better than everybody. I can't really explain it. So after I was rolling with them and stuff, because they were doing technique and everything, because I didn't join in on the full class. I wasn't there for the whole thing, but I joined in for the live rolling. Of course, I was that guy, So anyway, while the live rolling was going on, we're rolling, but I had seen the class how they were going or whatever. They're drilling things, drilling arm bars, triangles, basic stuff, and he wants to roll again. And I'm like, all right, dude, we can roll again. Excuse me. And he's trying to get me to guard so he could try to get me in an arm bar or triangle, and he never gets me to guard, I was just being light with him. He didn't seem like he was trying to hurt me this time, so I wasn't trying to be a dick either, but I was still a little bit ticked off of how he came into the gym his first day. But at the same time, if he comes back, I don't want to just scare you away now. Let's see. Every fighter's crazy, I just got to find how to deal with your crazy, So I'm willing to work with you and everything again. So I'm working with him, but I'm not actually just trying to kill him, but I'm not letting him get any type of dominant position. And I'm just letting him know everything that he does or he tries to get away with, that there's something that I could do to you. I'm just transitions mostly, going from side control, taking your back, taking mount, going back to side control, letting you think you have half guard, and then setting up a darce and not really going for it, but then, just rolling with the dude, seeing how he reacts to certain things. And then afterwards or whatever, because he kept he was trying to tell me that he wants to get an arm bar on me. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably never going to get an arm. I'm not going to let you. I'm not saying never. One day you'll probably get it and stuff. He says, well, how am I supposed to get better at doing it if I can't even get you in my guard? I'm like, well, dude, that's part of it. What if you can't get me in your guard, and then you can't get me to cross my arm or get my arm to the opposite side, and then you can't base off my hip, go in those 3 steps right there. So if you can't get me to guard, you can't fucking triangle, let's say you can't get me, or you can't arm bar me. So let's say you can't get me to guard, but you can't get me to cross my arm, or you can't get my arm across my chest, or you can't get a control of this thing, then you can't get an arm bar. But let's say you can get the arm, but you can't get your base, or you can't master the kick over to come to it and still stay tight, then you can't do an arm bar. And if you can't get it and then fight for control and then actually pull out and extend, then you can't get an armbar. Even if you can do all of those things, but not the last thing, then you can't do an armbar. Focus on trying to get me to guard. Start there. If you know, and he's like, I'm like, how hard are you trying to get me to guard? You know, like you're focused on like your move that you know and you perfected or whatever is an armbar, you know, but that's just it. And he's like, well, I usually start on the ground. All right, let's start on the ground. I started in his fucking guard. I'm like, you're not going to get the fucking armbar. Like, I passed your guard like that. You master the guard first. Start there. And it took me a long time to fucking get that concept.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, he's living in a delusional world where he expects that's how it happened. He's writing the book backwards. He's trying to start on the back cover and then work his way forward. He's trying to finish.
I'm sorry. I want to touch on this really quick. I want to like you can like drilling and situational drilling and all that stuff or whatever, right? Is where you get you master the technique of doing the armbar or the triangle or whatever, right? And I'm like, he might, let's give it because he didn't armbar me, you know, or triangle me, you know, but like, let's say he was a master at that. And if I get into his guard, he's going to get me. Well, I never get into your guard. You never fucking get me then. So like, you're having you're taking steps out of it. And it's like, it's not functioning properly. If you master all of the steps, you'd have a perfect armbar. Perfect, because you have a perfect guard. You have a perfect setup to get my arm. You have a perfect setup to kick over and extend my arm. And then you have a perfect finish. Granted, like nothing's perfect, but you know what I mean? Like, but and drilling and situational stuff like that will help you out. But when we're going live, that's the opposite of helping you. Like letting you get something, it isn't good for you. I mean, not in that situation. You know, there's times where you work on drilling, like where you get to feel how a move is done. You get to feel all that stuff. But live rolling is not that time. And you called me out, so fuck you. But live rolling isn't that time. It's just he's new. He doesn't understand when it is or whatever, right? I'm like, you participated in the class. That was your drilling. You know how to do the armbar. You guys were working on it. But you can't do the armbar because you don't have all the steps. It's your first day. Like,
yeah. Just needs to sit down.
And then he got insulted when we were telling him like he needs to master the guard first, like as if that's too basic. I'm like, well, dude, did you get me in your guard? So you obviously need to work on it. I mean, sorry, and I did mean to interrupt you. I do it all the time, but I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is. Literally just interrupted me and said what I was going to say. But it's just like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink water. So it's just, if he wants to keep showing up, and let's be real, if he sticks at the gym, people at Valhalla Combat know what the show Trash Talk is. So there's a good chance that somewhere down the line, he might be watching this very episode. And I'm assuming by now, he knows who he is. I don't even know the guy's name, truth be told. So it's not like I'm going to drop a name on him. But if you are, hopefully you keep coming back, and hopefully that willing to learn is willing to go, because what?
His name is Ian.
Ian, you, bro. I'm talking to you. You don't know me, but you will know me if you stick at the gym. So just listen, keep training, keep listening, because at the end of the day, you can rebuttal everything that's said in the gym and tell the coach, oh, yeah, but I could have did this. But when you're at home and you're taking the shower and you're in between putting the shampoo in and now you're just putting some conditioner in, and you think to yourself and you're like, fuck, man, that really didn't work. You can't lie to yourself. And if you lie to yourself, then at that point, I would just recommend not doing this, because lying to yourself is not going to let you improve to where you need to be. But if you come in with an open mindset, like everybody else in the gym, willing to learn, willing to get tapped out, and ultimately willing to drill. I mean, you talk to any jiu-jitsu guy, I mean, they'll all tell you drill, drill, drill. You drill until you get bored, then drill a couple more times before you do anything else. And it's just, that's how you get better. You have to do this till the point where it's muscle memory. And like you said, coming in on day 2 and trying to tap out a professional fighter with over 50, 60 fights, it just makes literally zero sense. You can go talk to any of the world champions, pull up the best guys in the world, we'll get them all on the phone, we'll ask every single one of them, hey, on your second day, did you just go in there and start tapping out people that had fucking dozens of professional contests? And if we hear a yes, we're going to hear some bullshit. It's just that simple.
So, yeah. Don't be like Ian.
No. Unless by the time watching this, Ian has changed, at which point, be like Ian. But day 2, day 1 Ian,
I like the way you clarified that. You saved yourself because you might end up meeting this guy and liking him. But I'm one of those dudes like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Oh, even if I like him, he can go fuck himself. Damien, go fuck himself. And that is in the slightest. But let's be real. You got to give people the opportunity to grow. And I honestly didn't expect the second half of the story where there was a day 2. So if there's a day 3, a day 7, a day 30, I can only assume that the potential is going to be there.
Well, it was still kind of the same feel. Like, especially after talking with him, like, he's there to beat up on us. And then today it was like he wanted to beat up on us still, but he knew that he couldn't. And then he wanted to attack how we were coaching or teaching or whatever. Or, I mean, at least me, how I was coaching and teaching. And I'm like, dude, I'm not coaching. This ain't class. This is live rolling, bitch. Yeah. You were just doing the drilling and the live. You were doing you were being shown the move. You were being walked through the move. You were drilling the move after that. And then you were working resistance from the move. You learned the counter to the move. You learned whatever the fuck. And then you guys worked on live situational, like starting off in the position or starting off in the setup or whatever. You guys did all of that. That is where you get that from. And then he's going to get mad at me and attack. Sorry.
My bad. You cut out right when you said you were being shown the move. So it was a good 15 seconds ago.
Damn. So I'm saying, like, he was being shown the move, and he had they had been walked through the move. They fucking live situational drilled the move, been showed the move again, walked through, shown the defense and all that stuff, you know, and then worked on the live situational whatever, and then open rolling started. I'm like, you went through everything. Don't tell me that, oh yeah, well, how am I supposed to do it if you never let me in that position? How the fuck do you expect to get in that position when it's live or when it's actually going? Like, you want a fucking participation trophy guy?
Yeah.
Let you do something to make you feel better. And especially, like, honestly, with that smug ass attitude that he had the first day, and even like his attitude was better, but you could still say it's like he was acting better. Not necessarily. We didn't check him yet. He's still not humbled, you know? So I'm like, it's like he was there with a different attitude, but it was like he still thinks he has it all figured out. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, and this is something that for the people that don't train might not make any sense, but everybody that trains is going to know exactly what I mean when I say there's a lot of stuff that you know how to do that you can't do. There's a lot of stuff that you see and you're like, oh, that's how that's done. But then you roll with someone and it's like, oh, fuck, I can't do that. I'm not good enough to do that. And it's just, he might know how to do this armbar he wants, but he's not, it's not there.
He's the guy at the fight at the Buffalo Wild Wings watching the fights. Like, why doesn't he just do this? Why didn't he get out? Like, he understands how, but he, like, oh, it's that simple. How come we wouldn't?
He's gonna find out why really quickly if he keeps coming to Valhalla. Like, oh, why doesn't that guy just stand up? Well, here, let me show you. Let me just drop my weight on your fucking solar plex real quick. Get up, bro.
This dude wants a fucking what is it? He wants a garden. but he doesn't want to plant any of the seeds.
Man.
Like if you can't okay, go to the store, buy the seeds, come back home, put it in some dirt, and then water it every day until it flourishes, and all of your seeds or whatever, then you're not going to have a garden. Now, let's say the first step of the garden of jiu-jitsu is mastering guard. If you can't get to guard, then so you don't have any seeds. You know what I mean? Like so how the fuck are you going to get this garden that you want so bad? You want to do these arm bars, you want to do these triangles, like all the positions that he was thinking of were all from guard. So it's just one of those things. So you don't want to do that first part, then you're never going to have anything. No. Now you want to you want to actually master the guard or whatever. Well, okay, cool. Well, now you got to still work on that next step, and that's getting my arm. You got to still master my arm, which is you actually like bringing those seeds home. They're not even planted yet.
No.
It's like.
No, I love that analogy. Like just to sum it up and use your same analogy, he's trying to water those seeds. He ain't even tilled the dirt yet. The dirt's still got rocks in there. You can't even plant nothing in there. And he's sitting there trying to water the seeds. And it's just, you can't fault the ambition, but at some point you have to be willing to learn, because if you don't learn, he can have that mindset and train for the next 20 years. And he'll never get to where he wants to be. You have to be willing to accept what it is, put the work in, and go. Like I said, you talk to anybody, talk to any black belt, and you go, well, what did you do? Well, I just did a lot of drilling. I mean, there was a lot of tournaments, a lot of stuff that I won, but at the end of the day, you drill until you can't drill. And like I said, and then after that point, you drill a couple more times, because that's where you get where you want to be. This guy, he's trying to play the UFC game on hard on the first day he bought it.
I want to say like there's some anomalies out there where they are that good or whatever, right? But let's take that's some people, but even they still work at it. Like it's not half-assed. Like they still train, but they might not do everything that everybody else does. But the thing is that everybody thinks they're that fucking guy. No one is that guy. No one is. Like, and even the guys that are that guy didn't know that they were until they became. You know what I mean? Like, he probably thinks like, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a good example of I don't know. John Jones, I guess technically only had a few years of training before he was in the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like what, he's in the UFC and then he's running the shit. It's like, I could be that good. It's like, and then you think of other examples too, because there's plenty of them, but they're like, I could be that guy, like this guy, and it's like, no, the fuck you can't.
Yeah.
No, the fuck you can't.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, people, and that's human nature. You tend to take these examples. And like, hey, it's a good thing to see somebody do something and go, hey, I can do that too. But let's be realistic. You talk about, like you said, in history, the all-time history, you narrow it down to what, 50 people? You were talking about 50 people out of billions. I'm not going to do the math. I'm not smart enough. But I mean, like you said, and this doesn't mean that you can't be good. But not everybody's going to be BJ Penn and get their black belt in 3 years. You know what I mean? It's like that just doesn't happen to 99.99% of the people. Those guys, they have to do stuff different. And it's like, there might be those guys, but I hate to be the one to tell you, Ian, look me right in the face. You're not that guy.
Dude, the BJ Penn thing, like, I've heard so many people say that or like compare themselves. Like, dude, well, BJ Penn got his black belt in 3 years. Dude, you go to jiu-jitsu practice every fucking third week. You don't even go every day. You don't even go to the fucking class. Like, what the fuck? You're like, well, I could get mine in 3 years. Not by going fucking once a week. You fucking, not by going, like, you dumb piece of shit. And I'm like that. Like, I know guys, and like they know, they watch the show, and I hope you're watching right now. Like, dude, and I call him out on it every time. I'm like, you're gonna be a black belt in 3 years, going to practice once a week. Like, I'm not mad at the ambition, but the effort's got to match, and the desire. Like, I mean, you can't just. I don't know. Now I feel like we're getting into another subject. I'm starting to address other people now.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I'm addressing the people that are already training and that like that have a basic knowledge, that have a good grasp of everything, you know, and then like I guess what everybody talks about is the blue belts that quit. Like what right when they get their blue belts, like, I did it. I made it now. I can always say I'm a blue belt, you know?
Yeah.
And that's not it. Like that's not even the beginning. I
No.
like barely the beginning.
Yeah, no, I always laugh when I see that because that's literally me. You know, I got my blue belt, then started having kids and put everything on pause. But you know, it's one of those things where you laugh, but like you said, it's not it. I mean, there's people that get to this position and they're like, "All right, well, I'm done because I know what the fuck I'm talking about." And it's like, nah, you don't.
For real, dude. I mean, okay. And before we get too far into that, I guess we should wrap it up.
Yeah.
This has been Trash Talk with Damien and TJ. I'm Damien. That's nobody because no one cares.
No, I'm TJ.
Like this video, subscribe to Trash Talk with Damien and TJ, and most importantly, do not be a hoe
Ian, stop being a hoe.
and a bitch.